Hey everyone, I've seen a bunch of y'all post your experiences on here and get some pretty good advice in the threads. I thought I'd try my luck here. Anyway, buckle up, because this is a roller coaster ride. So, for context, I, 30F, have been married to my, soon-to-be ex-husband Matt, 33M, for close to 6 years now. I am an entrepreneur and run my own company, where I sell handmade soaps and candles. I have put my blood, sweat, and tears into making my company what it is today. I built it from scratch and take immense pride in it. My life was pretty great until everything came crumbling down about 2 months ago when I found out that my husband was cheating on me with my younger sister Grace. Yes, that happened. I'll get into more details later, but I was absolutely shattered. Little did I know that this was just the tip of the iceberg. Some backstory first. I am the eldest of 3 siblings, and Grace, 20F, is my youngest sister. She is nearly 10 years younger than me and came as a bit of a surprise to all of us when she was born. I adored her from the minute I saw her. I had a younger brother, but I really wanted a sister, and I was overjoyed to see her come home. Since she was so much younger than me, I sort of became like a second mother to her. I doted on her constantly, fed her, bathed her, and even bought things for her with my pocket money. She was the cutest baby, and I made my dad buy me a digital camera so I could take pictures of her and make them into a scrapbook. I loved her so much, and I was pretty much ready to do anything to make sure she was happy. As we got older, I started earning some money, and I'd buy her all sorts of toys, books, and clothes. I'd pick her up from school every day. We'd spend our weekends watching Gilmore Girls together, eating ice cream and popcorn, and visiting the bookstore. Those were some of the best days of my life. I could tell, even from back then, that Grace adored me just as much as I adored her. Our bond was unbreakable. Things began to change when I moved out for college. It was in a different state, and although I tried to visit home as much as I could only manage to go during the breaks. I missed everyone a lot, especially Grace, and I hated the fact that I was going to be missing out on such a big part of her childhood. I was thriving in college. For the first time in my life, I was staying away from my parents, and I got way more freedom to do whatever I wanted. So, I did the typical college things and went to a bunch of frat parties with my girlfriends, and it was at one of these parties that I met Matt. He was actually the DJ, and I thought he was the coolest guy ever. He had tons of tattoos, shoulder-length hair, and just exuded charisma. We hit it off almost immediately and partied the night away after exchanging numbers. I later came to know that he was actually a student at my college but was a couple of years older than me. He texted me, and we ended up meeting a few times. I was completely smitten with him. He was funny, smart, and easy to make conversation with, not to mention, he was very easy on the eyes. He was also a little adamant and obnoxious, but at that point in time, I was too infatuated with him to even realize it. I sometimes look back and wonder why I was so obsessed with him when he was only doing the bare minimum and wasn't really as great as I thought he was. But then I realized that when you are young and in love, you kinda disregard these things only for them to bite you in the face later. Anyway, we went out on a few dates, and before I even realized it, we were dating, and it was great. After he graduated, we both moved in together. Matt and I made a great team. We got a tiny apartment near my campus, which made it easy for me to go to class. Matt got a job as an intern at a tech company, and I started working part-time at a bistro on campus. We weren't making much money, and we were barely able to pay the bills, but we were happy. I truly felt like I was an adult. Matt helped me out a lot. He'd make me breakfast, help me out with my studies, and he'd sometimes even pull all-nighters with me before an exam even though he had work the next day. I couldn't believe that I had landed such a perfect guy. He made me feel loved and validated, and I had never experienced that with any of my previous boyfriends before. Whenever we went out, he proudly introduced me to everyone as the love of his life. Even at his work parties, he'd make sure to introduce me to all his colleagues and gush about me to the point where I felt a little overwhelmed. He was truly devoted to me, at least that's what it felt like. Matt met my family for the first time the weekend I was graduating. They had heard all about him before on the call but had never actually met him until then. By now, we were in a full-fledged relationship, even sharing a bank account. They absolutely loved him. My dad was very hard to please, he never approved of any of my previous boyfriends, but Matt managed to win even him over. My parents were a little angry that I had moved in with Matt without telling them, but after seeing how well he treated me, they weren't too upset. I was thrilled to see Grace. She was almost 13, and this was the first time she was visiting me at college. She had the best time talking to all my friends and professors. She also loved Matt. I could tell that she kinda had a crush on him because she got shy and fidgety whenever he was around. Over that weekend, Matt had won the hearts of my entire family, and I was relieved because I truly did love him and I wanted our relationship to last forever. After graduating, I started working as a personal assistant at the same company that Matt worked at, which was perfect for us because we got to see each other all the time. About a year later, we had been dating for about 4 years now, Matt finally popped the question. It was beautiful. He had planned this beautiful proposal. I was over the moon, and of course I said yes. When we got back home, I was shocked to see some of our closest friends and my parents and siblings there to celebrate our engagement. He even managed to decorate our apartment. Later, I came to know that Matt flew my family down just for this special occasion. I truly felt like I had found the one. We got married less than a year later, and it was beautiful. Grace was my maid of honor. We also managed to save up enough money to afford a bigger apartment. We even got a cat together. As the years passed, I truly felt like I was blessed to have such an amazing husband. He took such wonderful care of me and made me feel like a princess. My career was on the rise, and he had also managed to get promoted. We began thinking about starting a family. Meanwhile, things weren't that great with Grace. She changed drastically. Her best friend, who was basically like another sister to her, had tragically passed away. It was very sudden and unexpected, and Grace was inconsolable. I rushed back home to help her, but she was a mess. After this whole incident, I observed a drastic change in her. She stopped speaking, stopped eating, and we just gave her space and time to grieve and understand reality. Her condition wasn't getting better even after months, and that's when I started getting worried. She was only 15 and was dealing with horrible circumstances. She stopped going to school and was failing most of her classes. I wanted to put her in therapy, but my parents insisted on just giving her more time and space to grieve. She eventually started talking more and leaving her room, but I knew that she was depressed. It was as if the happy, energetic Grace I knew was gone. Her condition started getting worse. I soon started getting calls from my mom telling me that Grace was hanging out with bad company older boys who drank alcohol and did drugs. She also told me that she caught Grace smoking. I was shocked because this was completely out of character for her. When Matt and I visited home one Christmas, things went from bad to worse. I could see a visible change in Grace. The way she dressed, spoke, and acted had changed drastically. She was being very rude and disrespectful, and she was just overall being a brat. I tried speaking to her personally. She used to always tell me everything, but this time, no matter how much I tried to understand her, she shut me out. She told me that I was never going to be able to understand her pain and that she just wanted to be left alone. The day I brought this up with Grace, a huge argument broke out. She said that she wasn't crazy and didn't need therapy. A lot of harsh words were exchanged, and only Matt was able to calm her down. Eventually, she said that she was going to a friend's house to relax. She didn't come home that evening, and by night, I was beginning to panic. I was about to start calling all her friends when her boyfriend at the time, he was a 20-year-old dating a 16-year-old, called us and told us that Grace had overdosed on some pills. My heart dropped. We rushed her to the hospital, and they were able to resuscitate her. We later found out that Grace had been taking drugs ever since her friend died to numb the pain. We vowed to do everything to prevent this from happening again and put her in therapy. This had been a terrible ordeal, and I was just glad that she was getting help. Barely a few months later, I got a call saying that she had overdosed again. Miraculously, she survived yet again, but this time we had to put her in rehab. She'd stay there for a few months, get clean, and once she got out, she'd start all over again. It was pathetic to see such a young, smart girl just wasting away her life like this. No matter what we did, she reverted to her old ways. It became a vicious cycle, and the more we tried to help, the more she pushed us away. After many failed attempts to get her clean, I gave up. This might make me sound like a terrible person. But Grace had pushed me to my limits, and I decided to focus on myself a little. Matt was my rock during these times. He was like the mediator between Grace and me and usually helped calm down the situation. He'd listen to me and help me find ways to help Grace, and he was very patient with the whole thing. I began focusing on work again, and we started trying for a baby, but even after trying for a whole year, we didn't have any luck. I was diagnosed with PCOS, which made getting pregnant naturally difficult but not impossible. At first, we were hopeful, but as the days passed by, I started getting depressed because I really wanted to become a mother, and the fact that I wasn't able to after trying so hard completely bummed me out. This started affecting my work, and my performance began to decline. Eventually, I quit because I just didn't feel up to it. I felt like I had failed as a woman to achieve the most basic, primal objective of being a mother. I could tell that Matt was equally struggling, but he never blamed me for it, nor did he pressure me into doing anything I didn't want to. I tried getting other jobs but wasn't able to. That's when I decided to make something of my own. I had always loved handmade soaps. In fact, as someone who suffered from acne, I had started making my own soaps years ago and had a general understanding of the ingredients that went into making them. I started making and selling my soaps to a few of my neighbors and friends, and guess what? They loved it. Soon, they started ordering from me on a monthly basis. My friend made a website, and I started selling them throughout the country. One of my friend's daughters made a TikTok about it, and that's when my business truly blew up and I started making a profit. For the first time in months, I started feeling like myself again. I stopped focusing on trying to get pregnant and started enjoying being an entrepreneur. It seemed as if Matt was doing well too, because he appeared to be happier than before. He said he had gotten promoted and had started taking frequent business trips. Things were finally looking up for us until about 2 months ago. Matt was on one of his trips, and I was lonely, so I decided to visit my parents and try to mend things with Grace. When I went back, they told me that Grace had moved out and was living with a friend. I decided to pay her a surprise visit and went to the address that my parents gave me. It turns out I was the one who was surprised because, when I went to her house, Matt opened the door. Yes, my husband, Matt, is half-dressed. Grace was right behind him, and they both looked horrified. I was more confused than anyone, and I refused to believe what was in front of me, but the guilty look on their faces confirmed my worst suspicions. Both of them said that he was just visiting her and that he was working nearby, but I did not believe a single word. I was completely blindsided. My mind refused to make sense of what was happening. The last thing I ever expected was Matt cheating on me, and that too with my little sister. The worst was yet to come. In my volatile state, I didn't even notice that Grace was pregnant. She looked about 4 to 5 months pregnant. I was so disgusted that I threw up and nearly fainted. The situation escalated so much that the neighbors called the ambulance, and I was taken to the emergency room. The whole time, I was paralyzed with shock. It was as if I'd gone into a trance because nothing anyone said mattered to me anymore. But wait, it gets worse. At the emergency room, they ran a bunch of tests on me and gave me an even bigger shock. I was pregnant, about 2 months into it. Yeah. I can't believe it. Now that I look back on it, this whole situation is so terrible that it's actually funny. I had tried for years to get pregnant but to no avail, and the day I found out that my husband of almost 6 years was cheating on me with my baby sister and had knocked her up, I found out that I was pregnant too. This had to be a joke, but sadly, it wasn't. My parents arrived, and they nearly fainted when I told them what had happened. Matt and Grace finally stopped by, and instead of giving an explanation for everything, Matt came up to me and told me that he didn't love me anymore, that he loved Grace, and that he was going to marry her. I threw up again. Grace told me that she and Matt had been together for over a year now and that he was planning on divorcing me but just couldn't find the right time to tell me. Matt said that I was emotionally unavailable and unable to satisfy his needs for years, and so he found comfort in Grace's arms. It began as a friendship, which quickly developed into something more. Grace said that she knew what they were doing was wrong, but after Matt promised to divorce me, she decided to go ahead with the relationship and give him the one thing he always wanted. A baby. I couldn't believe it. Matt always seemed so supportive and loyal. He never gave me any indication that he was having problems in our marriage. Up until a few days ago, when I dropped him off at the airport, he kissed me and told me he loved me like he always did. I had no idea that he felt this way. I was completely blindsided because this was the last thing I expected. I didn't know how to feel. There was so much going on that my mind couldn't process anything, but one thing was for sure, I didn't want anything to do with Matt or Grace again. My heart was broken beyond repair. When I told Matt that I was pregnant, he was in disbelief but still stood by the fact that he wanted to be with Grace. I was very disgusted by the whole thing. Matt had known Grace since she was 12, and that was a whole new level of creepiness. I decided to stay with my parents for a bit because the doctors said that this was a high-risk pregnancy. All I wanted was a baby, but I had never been more miserable in my life now that I had a baby in me. A lot of my friends and relatives broke ties with Matt and Grace, completely disgusted by what they had done. They started focusing on the positive and buying gifts like toys, clothes, and strollers for the baby. You won't believe it, but Matt and Grace didn't call me even once to apologize. The only time Matt called me, he had the audacity to ask me to buy things for his baby with Grace because the whole family had isolated them and had not given them a single thing, while they were overdoing it for me. He said that both he and Grace felt like they were being punished by everyone, and their baby deserved just as much stuff as mine did. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. These people had ruined my life and had the audacity to ask me to buy them things. Disgusting. Matt completely blocked me out of his life. In the coming weeks, I tried many times to get in contact with him to discuss what to do further, but he didn't even reply. My parents told me that Grace had been telling them that she had a boyfriend who loved her and treated her well. Every time they asked to meet him, she would come up with some excuse, but they had no idea it was Matt. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to manipulate my emotionally fragile sister and somehow convince her that I was the problem and he was not in the wrong. That boiled my blood more than anything. Grace's betrayal hurt me more than Matt's. After about 2 weeks of trying to contact him, I decided to get lawyers involved and file for divorce. However, just before I could do it, I got an anonymous email claiming that they had important information about Matt. I thought it was a prank, but I was very curious. I mailed them back, saying that I was interested, and then they sent me another email with a link to a folder that contained photos of phone conversations, bank statements, and other documents about Matt. The email said that Matt had lost his job over 2 years ago and had borrowed tons of money from some money lenders. He was unable to pay back what he owed, was now avoiding them, and was in a ton of debt. They found out that he had another girlfriend in Thailand who was willing to let him stay at her place. Phone conversations revealed that he had been planning this for months. He secretly bought plane tickets and got a work permit for Thailand and was planning on leaving next month, leaving everything behind, so that he could evade paying back his loans and start a new life with her. My jaw dropped. I refused to believe that Matt was this unhinged, but the proof was right there in front of me. Everything was there, all the conversations that he had with the money lenders, pleading with them for more time, the conversations with his girlfriend, talking about how he was going to marry her. Never once did he mention that he was already married. Bank transfer statements, even plane tickets and visas. Matt had somehow convinced my sister that he loved her and was going to stay with her when he was planning on leaving all of us in the dust. He was going to pay. There was no way he could ruin all our lives and then just run off and avoid the consequences of his actions. Enough was enough. I printed out all the information and sealed it in an envelope. After talking to my parents, I finally contacted my lawyers and told them everything. After a lot of objections and excuses, my lawyers were finally able to get a hold of Matt and arrange a meeting. When we finally met, I was happy to see that he had brought Grace along with him. As soon as he saw me, he started saying that he didn't love me anymore and that I had to get over him and to stop leeching off him for everything. I laughed as I handed him the envelope and told him that it contained everything that he'd ever need. He looked surprised, but as he went through the documents, all the color in his face drained away. I told Grace everything, about how he was planning on leaving her, fooled her, and showed her all the receipts. Matt said that I was trying to frame him for everything because I was jealous and started making excuses, but as I said, the proof was irrefutable, and my lawyers ensured that I was protected. I served him the divorce papers like the cherry on top. He looked like he was about to faint. He once again made up fake excuses, denying all the claims, but when he realized that even Grace wasn't buying his story, he started apologizing and saying that this was all a big misunderstanding. He was advised to get his lawyers involved before he ruined matters even more. My lawyers assured me that Matt wasn't going to be leaving anytime soon because the work permit that he had was obtained illegally. Yes, this just keeps getting worse and worse for him, which was great for me because that meant that he had to face the consequences of his actions. The divorce trial will start soon, and at the moment, everything is a mess. Matt is going to be questioned regarding his illegal visa, and Grace is absolutely wrecked because she fell for his lies. My parents don't know how to handle either of us. Is it wrong to feel a little smug about the whole thing? Does that make me a bad person? Matt had ruined my life, and in a way, I feel like I'm just getting back at him. Everything is in shambles right now, and nothing has been confirmed, and I am just so conflicted. Should I have handled this better? Update 1. Hello everyone. Wow, it's been a while, and I have a lot to say. First, I'd like to address a few comments that I've been getting under this thread. Matt had known Grace since she was 12 years old, a literal child. Even though they had an affair when she was an adult, barely, it is legal, but that still doesn't change the fact that what he did was extremely predatory and weird. She was like a child to me, and the fact that Matt was even remotely interested in her in that way disgusts me. I'm only saying this because I see some men in the comments actually defending Matt and saying that Grace was equally at fault. I'm not saying that Grace isn't responsible. She has been dealing with her own problems, like her mental health and addictions, for ages. She was in a vulnerable position, and Matt knew that. He also knew that she had admired him for ages. He could have cheated on me with any girl, but he went for Grace because he knew that she could be easily manipulated. What I'm trying to say is that both of them did terrible things. But Matt is truly a vile person for taking advantage of all of us like this. Many of y'all also wanted updates on his Thai girlfriend. I'm not going to share much here for privacy, however, she has been talking to Matt for over 2 years now. She had no idea about any of us. Matt had lied and told her that he was single. He even started sending her money every month. He made promises, saying that he was going to work in Thailand for a while and then marry her and bring her to the US. All lies, of course. I haven't spoken to her directly, but my lawyers have been in contact with her, and she now knows everything. I haven't spoken to Grace either. The last time I did, she accused me of ruining her life and told me that if I truly loved her, I should have just let this whole thing slide and left Matt alone. I reminded her that Matt didn't love her and was literally planning on leaving her with his baby to raise all by herself, but she still pictures me as the villain. You know what's funny? I'm the one who should be furious right now. Instead, here she was accusing me of everything. I just can't win. I still love her even after she betrayed me, but the way she's acting now. I feel like it's better if she weren't in my life at all. I know it sounds harsh, but I don't care at this point. As for Matt, since he just possessed an illegal work permit and wasn't actively in Thailand and using it, he technically wasn't doing anything illegal. It would only be illegal if he was caught with it in use, so they legally can't do anything. He's off the hook from that. As for the divorce, his lawyers have tried to paint me in the worst light and have actually demanded shares from my company. We shut that down real quick. I don't know the technicalities, but my business is in my name only, and Matt has no right over it. My lawyers have ensured that I don't need to give him anything. He will have to pay child support once the baby is born. We haven't settled on how much yet. I will also have full custody of the child. Matt tried to make it seem as if he wanted the child, which backfired on him because everyone knew about his plans to run away. That's about all I know for now. We will be having a court hearing in a few days, so I'll keep you updated. Update 2, another quick update. I'm doing okay. I'm 4 months along and still at high risk because of gestational diabetes, but the baby is doing great. I never thought that I'd have to navigate through pregnancy in this way, but I am grateful to my parents for having my back. Every time I see the ultrasound pictures, I feel so excited to meet my child. I know that they won't be born into a perfect family, but I'm going to try my hardest to be there for my child. Grace is probably around 7 months pregnant right now, but that's about all I know. I'd appreciate it if you continued to keep me in your prayers. Update 3. Hey guys, sorry I've been MIA for so long. This update is long overdue, but first, I have some good news. I had a beautiful baby girl. She was born early and had to spend a few days in the NICU, but she's been discharged now and is thriving. I had to have an emergency C-section, but I'm recovering. It was stressful, but I'm glad it's over. Some more good news. My divorce was finalized. It was a nasty affair, but I had a team of strong lawyers, and they managed to make sure that all my demands were fulfilled. Like I mentioned before, Matt had tried to paint me in the wrong light. He accused me of trapping him with a baby so that I could get child support after he left me, but the odds were against him. I got full custody of my daughter. As for Matt, we aren't civil with each other. He tried his level best to get his child support money reduced but failed. He also has to pay back all the money that he was loaned. I don't know how he's going to do that, but that's not my problem. The last thing I heard was that he was trying to get a job. He still hasn't met his daughter and didn't even show up to the NICU. Honestly, I dodged a bullet. My daughter doesn't deserve a terrible man like that in her life. Grace also gave birth to a little girl, a couple of months before I did. I haven't met either of them, and I don't think I'm going to do so anytime soon. My parents are the only link between us, and they try to help us reconcile. Deep down, she is still my baby sister, whom I love and adore. But her betrayal and the way she acted after that are still fresh in my mind. I know Matt brainwashed her into thinking that I was a terrible person, but she knew me better than anyone. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm trying to piece together my life bit by bit. I know that it's going to take a long time to get back to normalcy, but I have to try for my daughter. So I'm going to focus on my business and my child from now on. Also, a word of caution to you mad lovers out there. Matt came across as someone who truly loved me. Nobody who knew us would believe that he would cheat on me. He also publicly declared how much he loved me and treated me so well, yet he still cheated on me and had been doing so for years with absolutely no indication that anything was wrong. All I'm saying is, choose your partner wisely and be careful, because if things are too good to be true, they probably aren't. Take care.